People, the trial of Jacksonville's most wanted man, KSoo, is underway, and we are seeing one of the craziest things that I've ever seen in a true crime gangster rap drill. This is just one of the craziest things that I've seen, full stop. Today is the day, officially, that KSoo's own father, Blue, is taking the stand against his son in a murder trial. It's absolutely insane. We're going to get into all of the details, all of the reactions. I'm strapping in for a long one. Pause. Big Y for that. But I'm getting ready for a long video because I got a whole bunch of clips. He was on the stand for a hell of a long time, and there's a bunch of extra backstory and details that I want to clear out of the way. But I'm lost for words. Okay, I don't even know what we're going to be getting into today. It's absolutely insane. But it has finally happened. Okay, he has taken the trial. KSoo's own father, Blue, is on the stand. He's going full YSL Woody. He's bitten the cheese on his own son. Now, we're going to see him make his reasoning for why he's decided to turn witness on his own son. He's going to give his justifications on the stand. He's going to talk about the situation. He's going to point out. It's just going down. It's going down. It's going absolutely crazy. We're just going to get into it, okay? But before we do that, before we get into it, all right? Let me come over here for a second. I just want to do a little bit of housekeeping, a little bit clearing house on some of the last things that were mentioned in the last video. So I did do a video about this on the channel not too long ago. I think I've just only done one video on this so far, but there are going to be a lot more coming. Okay, there are going to be a lot more coming. But if you have been following the channel, you might have seen this video that I did very recently on the situation. Young and Ace's shooter gets cooked in the murder trial. And some people were on my bumper about this. Some people had said that I'd made a massive mistake. I think a few people had misinterpreted my words. Now, there were people that were saying, oh, you think that he's on trial for the Bibby murder. No, look. If I misspoke, I apologize, right? But in that video, okay, in this video, at the start, I wanted to kind of set up and recap KSoo's backstory, what it is that he's being accused of, you know, in a more broader strokes terms of like his place. If you didn't know anything about this dude, I'm just trying to educate you on that, okay? So we went back, we looked at the original War in Jacksonville video that I did, which is just past 10 million views, absolutely crazy. You know, just absolutely wild. I mean, Who I Smoke must be on, how many views did Who I Smoke on? This just goes to show you the impact of the Jacksonville drill scene. 56 million views on this, the original song that started it all. Who I Smoke, Bibby, now Bibby's murder. You know what I'm saying? So look, I know that he's not on trial for the Bibby murder right now. Okay, he is on trial for the Lil Buck murder. I believe he is also accused of doing the Bibby murder. I don't know if that's something that's going to be a trial that comes later. It's going to be a separate trial. Are they going to wrap it up? I don't know exactly how that's going to go down, but I was just trying to recap and let everybody know that this is KSoo. He's famous for, you know, dissing Bibby, wearing the Bibby jersey, putting a whole lot of smut on Bibby's name. And this has resurfaced recently, right? This is a throwback that's resurfaced on Reddit that is apparently KSoo, actually, when he found out that he was also being charged with the Bibby murder, I believe. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. People might correct me and say, no, this was actually him being told about the Lil Buck murder. But from what I understand, I mean, here's a comment saying, when is the Bibby trial starting? Probably early next year. So look, I don't think it's going to be long until we see KSoo on trial for the Bibby murder too. I think the Bibby murder, he was a lot more brazen about when it came to actually dissing Bibby. You know, wearing the Bibby jersey, burning the Bibby jersey, making little memes. He had that ridiculous video where he'd put his face on, I guess, like an angel flying through the sky, and he was saying, I'm flying through the sky with Bibby. Very disrespectful stuff. Very incriminating stuff. But yeah, I just wanted to recap that and make it very clear to people, okay? A lot of people are getting on my case saying I don't know what I'm talking about. Look, I'm just following along with the news with you guys. We're talking about the Lil Buck murder, but I think the Bibby murder is not going to be far behind.
Yeah, we're going to be out there doing some paperwork. You do have a warrant for your arrest.
We have a warrant for your arrest for murder today.
What?
Yes.
For what?
You want your lawyer, so I can't tell you no more, but you'll be in trouble.
What the hell?
What do we think? Are we rating his acting? Are we giving him an Oscar for his acting? You've been charged for murder. What? What the hell? I never knew that. I don't know, people, but look, let's get into it, all right? Let's dig in, okay? This has been surfacing. Everybody knew it was coming. Everybody knew it was happening. Reddit, the Duval County Reddit, okay? This is the hub, all right, for drill and rap beefs in Jacksonville, Florida. Okay, between all of these groups that you know about, ATK, No Hospital Gang, 6 Block, AvB, 1200, Young and Reckless, Head First, and many more. Okay, as you've noticed on this channel, all right, where there's a city and a bunch of gangs and a bunch of rappers warring about the whole scene, there's always a subreddit that isn't far behind. Okay, so you call me a snitch all you want. I'm a Redditor, okay? I'm a Reddit demon. I'm a Reddit disciple. This is what we do, and we Reddit gang, okay? That's all we're on. But the news spread in Duval County 11 hours ago, man. KSoo's father, Blue, is expected to take the stand and testify at 12:50 p.m. Eastern Time. Tune in. People are just hyped to see this testimony. If you do anything other than help his son, this world really wicked as hell. Well, the world is already wicked as hell, dumbass. I guess so. Today, all right? Yes, they on break right now. They said after break, 12:50, he is taking the stand. Oh, yeah, I'm finna hop on this work and watch KSoo's pops go fed crying emojis. Blue is a wild man, all right? And look, just for the record, yeah? Just for the record, I'm gonna take a tiny little detour now. For all of this talk about G Herbo, oh, you making money, you profiting from the gang war, why have I just got a Nike ad in the middle of a gang subreddit on a post about a father snitching on his son for murder? When is Nike going to donate to the war in Jacksonville? They're putting money on Reddit's books. I never hear advertisers talking about, oh, we're going to remove our money from Reddit. So there you go, right? Go get your Nike sneakers, all right? Nike, where are you donating your money to promote to fix the gang wars in these cities? All right, like so you got Nike promoting themselves on the gang subreddits. Meanwhile, me and DJ Academics apparently have to donate our entire net worths to the children of killers. I don't know. But anyway, look, that's just a little detour, right? But if you want to talk about people promoting, getting money, like the Nike are using the gang war subreddit as a billboard, as a literal billboard. I mean, what have Nike got for sale? What Nike trying to sell me in the middle of the gang wars? Anyway, I digress. Okay. People saying, where are you watching it at? Here we go. We got the link. All right. It's going to be crazy. Okay. So look, KSoo's father, he did officially take the stand. All right. So he got on the stand. He introduces himself, his kids. He even talks about not having a relationship with his family since deciding to testify and having numerous charges in different cases. It's a serious situation for Blue. Honestly, he's in a pickle. He's in a tight spot. It's definitely a tough place to be, testifying on your own son. But I believe he has quite a lot of children. And from what I understand, part of the reasoning is that he wants to be out here to support his other children. He's making an example, all right? He's trying to let them other kids at home know, all right? This is no way to behave, all right? This is no way to behave. Don't catch no hats, all right, on my watch, all right? Pops will be up in the courtroom, pointing the finger and going full YSL Woody on you. So there you go. Let that be a lesson, you know what I'm saying, to the rest of the fam. If you play around in these streets, you know what I'm saying, you might get the belt or you might get the cheese. You might get daddy on the stand, okay? And I can't even process how crazy this is, what we're dealing with in this situation. But it is what it is. And let's get to it, man. Let's just have a little look. KSoo's father, Blue, taking the stand, man. It's going crazy. This is absolutely wild.
Court.
Yes.
Would you please state your name for the record, sir?
Abdul Robinson, Sr.
Please stay close to the microphone and your voice up. Do you have any nicknames?
Yes, Blue.
And how old are you today?
54.
You have any children?
Yes.
How many?
I have 11 children.
What's the
11 children. So this is a lesson. Look. It's a very, very difficult situation, right? Because from what I understand, one of his children, after performing at a show, they were all in the car together. All right, KSoo's father, KSoo, and you know what I'm saying? I just had to double check just to make sure that I got this right from memory. Okay, so it was actually his half brother. Okay, so this was one of Blue's sons. It was KSoo's half brother, Willie Addison, who had gotten killed after a concert. Okay, so KSoo's really trying. He's a big part of the gang war. He's young and aces shooter, all of that stuff. But really, he was trying to avenge his brother. I believe this was a shooting where Blue himself actually got shot. KSoo's brother and Blue's son Willie also ended up losing his life. And it's got to be a tough situation. I mean, could you imagine that? You're in court telling on your son for a murder that he did to allegedly avenge your other son that was killed. Honestly, it's mind games. It's actually crazy to think about it. Because on the one hand, it's like you would want your son to avenge that murder. But on the other hand, would you want your son to throw his life away? Do you want to set the example for your other children? I mean, honestly, I can't even process it. It's actually crazy.
Age of your oldest child
34,
and your youngest?
6,
Prior to getting arrested, did you have a good relationship with all of your children?
yes,
And are you currently incarcerated on a number of felony charges?
yes,
On 2 separate cases?
yes.
When were you arrested and taken into custody?
September the 10th, 2020,
And have you remained incarcerated since your arrest?
yes,
Have you been charged by the state with accessory after the fact to first-degree murder and solicitation to commit first-degree murder related to the murder of Damon Rothermel?
yes.
And when did that murder take place?
I think on January 31st.
So what I think's interesting about this, right, is so what I think has happened here is Blue's been implicated in 2 murder cases here, right? It's not just the murder of Lil Buck, where he allegedly drove to pick up his son and the accomplices after the murder, after the wild police chase where, you know, the car was crashed, they ran up in someone's house, even took a woman hostage. As we learned in the last video, there was talks of killing the innocent woman whose home that they ran up into and took hostage. Blue is on the stand for being an accessory to that murder for coming to pick up the kids, right? And we're going to see he's going to kind of defend himself against that. He's going to kind of try and say that maybe he didn't really know exactly what was going on when all of that was going on. But he is also being implicated in the other murder. Now, interestingly, this other murder was the murder of, I believe his name's Damon Rothermel, right? A 54-year-old man who was killed by a stray bullet during another shootout, okay? And the co-defendant in that, there's 3 people: Derek Hudson, Christopher Brown, and Dominique Barner. Now, Dominique Barner is Butter, okay, the alleged snitch in this case. And what I understand is like that was some kind of drive-by shootout where they ended up accidentally hitting an innocent man. Interestingly, it's like now for all of the pain and suffering that they've caused on the streets of Jacksonville, innocent people getting killed, everyone's trying to kind of get their way out of this, okay? It's not really honorable murder. You know, you're not really scoring no points, having a shootout and accidentally hitting an innocent man. He falls off his bicycle. They've all been wrapped up in it. And now you got both Butter and Blue. They're basically trying to tell their way out of this situation. And like, really, it's kind of insane. So just for a little bit of background on that incident too, I'll just give you a little bit more information. Let me just pull that up. So this is what it's all about, right? And this is from all the way back in April 2021. Alleged leader of a violent drug gang, ATK, accused in connection of another murder, all right? And so Abdul Robinson Sr., this is Blue, KSoo's father, from 2018. That's a picture of him there. But this is basically where he got implicated in that other murder where the innocent man was hit off the bike, from what I understand, right? So the alleged leader of a violent drug trafficking organization who is accused of helping his son escape capture following a murder last year is now facing a new charge in connection with another shooting death. Now, this is how you get somebody to snitch on their own son, okay? From what I understand, look, I don't know exactly where the decision came to tell. Now, this is 2021. From this article, it's not sounding like at this stage he was planning to testify, okay? This was something that came later. You know, the rumor of Blue testifying against his own son has been going around the internet for quite some time, right? But really, this is how they did it. It's not a case of, look, you're just hating on your own son and you're trying to set an example for the other kids, all right? Joking aside, they're putting a whole other body on him, and it's this sort of pressure that's going to make a man snitch on his own son, all right? Abdul Robinson Sr., who police say is the leader, all right? And I don't know how true that is. You know, they're saying on the one hand, Blue was apparently a very serious figure in the Jacksonville streets for a long time. But as we learned the other day, they're saying in the courtroom, yo, you're familiar with this stand. You've testified. You've been a snitch. All right. But they're saying here in this article from 2021, Abdul Robinson Sr., police say is the leader of ATK, or Ace's Top Killers. Now, the fact that it's Ace's Top Killers kind of makes you think it's Ace's thing. But anyway, we'll see how that turns out. He was charged earlier this month with accessory after the fact to first-degree murder and first-degree felony. The new charge stems from the shooting death of Damon Rothermel. Rothermel, 50, was shot and killed in January 2019 while riding his bicycle on Emerson Street near St. Augustine Road. According to police, Rothermel appeared to have been hit by a stray bullet from a shootout between people in 2 cars. So they're 2 cars, they're shooting it out back and forth, and this is just an innocent guy knocked off his bike and killed by a stray bullet. Now that's really not something you want on your conscience, okay? And You know what I mean? He's going to have to do a whole lot of talking to get himself out of this. And he might still end up facing 20 years, even with the telling, which is crazy, okay? But according to an arrest warrant from the Jacksonville Sheriff Office, Robinson, known as Blue, is accused of helping one of the suspects who was injured in the shootout that led to Rothermel's death. Now, that's interesting, right? Because I really wasn't sure of the extent of his involvement, but they're saying they helped one of the suspects who was injured in the shootout that led to the death. Maybe it's a reach even implicating him in this murder, right? What is it? Helping somebody who got shot in a shootout, does that mean you're necessarily an accessory to that shootout? I don't know, but if it allows you to put enough pressure on this guy to get the conviction that you need of 2 other murders, you know what I mean? The police really be playing some serious tactics, okay? During a meeting at a West Side restaurant on the day of the shooting, Robinson, age 50 at the time, gave one of the 4 people accused in connection with the shooting death $500 so they could leave town and avoid police, according to the warrant. Now, that's a big mistake. Even if you didn't get involved and you didn't plan the shooting, if you putting up the money for someone to go on the run after the accidental death of an innocent, you're getting yourself wrapped up in that, and you know what I mean? You're going to have to find a way out of it. So later, Robinson is accused of taking the suspect to a doctor in an attempt to get the bullet removed from their knee. In a news conference last year, Jacksonville Sheriff Mike Williams said that Robinson and ATK are potentially responsible for 15 murders on law enforcement's radar. And if you saw that video I did on the deadly gang war in Jacksonville, 15 murders might even be an understatement, as crazy as it is to say. All right, so Robinson Sr. and his son, Hakeem Robinson, have also been charged with the murder of 23-year-old rapper Charles McCormick. Hakeem Robinson, a 21-year-old rapper who goes by KSoo, has been charged with second-degree murder, and Robinson Sr. has been charged with accessory after the fact for allegedly helping his son flee the scene. Hakeem Robinson is also charged in the February 2019 murder of 16-year-old Adrian Gaynor Jr. at the Hilltop Village Apartments in northwestern Jacksonville. Investigators are still searching for Abdul Robinson Sr., who is considered a murder suspect in the shooting death of McCormick. It's crazy. Robinson Sr. was injured in 2019 in a shooting that claimed the life of his 25-year-old son, Willie Addison, who was an aspiring rapper. So people, all right? The Jacksonville Sheriff's Office are not playing any games, okay? They're coming for your daddy. You put up the money. You got yourself involved in this whole twisted mess, and they're going to put the pressure on you. And clearly it's worked, okay? So look, we've ended up seeing all of this play out now, and what we're going to see next is Blue essentially on the stand identifying the co-defendants who were charged alongside him.
2019.
And there was the potential for you to be charged as a principal in that murder, is that correct?
Yes.
But you weren't.
No.
And you have co-defendants who have been charged with the murder of Damon Rothermel.
Yes.
And who are they?
Christopher Brown, Derek Hudson, Dominique Barner.
And so you know who all 3 of those individuals are?
Yes.
Have you also been charged by the state with accessory after the fact to commit first-degree murder related to the murder of Charles McCormick?
Yes.
And did that murder take place on January 15th of 2020?
Yes.
It goes to show you, man. Look, I don't condone crime. I don't condone murder. You know, I think the violence needs to stop. I don't know how to stop it. All right. You know, I don't know whether a donation. I don't know what's going to really stop the gang war going on. But I tell you what, if this teaches you one thing, you got to be careful who you call. I don't think you should be doing murders, all right? But you got to be careful who you call after doing murders, all right? Realistically, bring in more people into it, whether it's your father, whether it's a friend, whether it's an innocent bystander, whether it's taking somebody hostage in their own home to try and have a place to change clothes and get away from the heat. At the end of the day, the more people you bring into your conspiracy are just more loose ends that are likely to take that stand and get to snitching when it really comes to it.
Are Hakeem Robinson, Abdul Robinson Jr., Leroy Whitaker, and Dominique Barner also charged with the murder of Charles McCormick?
Yes.
How are you related to Abdul Robinson Jr. and Hakeem Robinson?
Their father.
They have the same mother?
No.
Who's Abdul Robinson Jr.'s mother?
Angela London.
And what about Hakeem Robinson?
Ebony Walters.
Who's older between Abdul Jr. and Hakeem?
Abdul Jr.
How much older?
4 years.
Do you recall what Abdul Robinson Jr.'s birthday is?
Yes.
What is it?
November 9th, 94.
And what about Hakeem Robinson?
November 9th, 98.
So look, he gives all of this information, birth dates, nicknames, all of that kind of stuff about, you know, his son, his friends, the people that are involved in the case. And then we eventually get to this moment where, you know, he points out his own son, he identifies his own son in the courtroom. And really this is, I mean, I can't imagine what was going through KSoo's mind when this moment went down, when he is seeing his father on the stand, identifying him in the courtroom, pointing him out, fully stitching him up for the benefit of the prosecution.
Yes.
And what is it?
Scotty?
Mr. Robinson, do you see your son Hakeem Robinson in the courtroom here today?
Yes.
Can you tell us where he's seated and what he is wearing?
He's seated between his two lawyers right there with a beige suit on.
Your Honor, the record reflect the witness has identified Mr. Hakeem Robinson.
Okay, the record shall so reflect.
And do you also see Leroy Whitaker in the courtroom here today?
Yes.
Can you tell us where he's seated and what he's wearing?
He's wearing a gray suit, sitting right next to his lawyer.
Is that which table?
Front table.
Your Honor, the record will reflect.
All right, the record shall so reflect.
You also know someone by the name of Dominique Barner.
Yes.
Is Dominique Barner related to your family?
Nope.
Were you friends with Dominique Barner's father?
Yes.
So how long would you say you've known Dominique Barner?
Most all his life.
Does Dominique Barner have a nickname?
Yes.
What is it?
Butter?
And do you know why he has that nickname?
No, I don't know why I have it.
So not only is he identifying his own son, right, but he's identifying Dominique Barner. He's saying, I'm friends with his father. I've known him all of his life. So just go to think of it, right? Yeah, Butter's also Butter's also snitching and taking the stand. But just try and get your head around this, right? Like Blue, these are kids that they grew up together. This is his friend's son, right? He's seen these kids grow up. He's seen his own child grow up. He's seen the friends. He's known these kids since the sandbox. And it's gotten to this point where he's pointing them all out in court. It's insanity. So what happens next is Blue essentially explains, or, you know, the lawyer essentially asks Blue about his implication in these murder charges, these cases, what his plea was, the guilty plea that he negotiated. And I believe what I understand is he pled the charges down, right? He pled guilty for accessory after the fact, and in return for that, the state dropped the solicitation to commit murder charges. So essentially, he was already able to negotiate down to a better plea, and now taking the stand and pointing out his son and pointing out the other people, he's swinging for the fences and trying to fully take himself out of this jam.
Now, on April 11th of 22, did you enter pleas of guilty to the court in both of your pending cases?
Yes, I did.
And was that plea partially negotiated with the state?
Yes.
Now, as part of your plea, you agreed to cooperate against the co-defendants in both cases?
Yes.
Have you been sentenced yet on either of your charges?
No, I haven't.
Who ultimately will decide what sentence you get?
From my understanding, the judge.
And what judge did you enter a plea of guilty to?
Miss Salvador.
Now, in the Damon Rothermel murder case, where you pled to accessory after the fact, is that right?
Yes.
And based on that plea, when you were sentenced by the judge, did the state agree that we will drop the solicitation to commit murder charge?
Yes.
Is both the accessory after the fact and the solicitation a first-degree felony?
Yes.
So they're both punishable by 30 years.
Yes.
And in the Charles McCormick murder case, you also pled to accessory after the fact, a first-degree felony.
Yes.
All right, and typically first-degree felony punishable by 30 years, is that correct?
Yes.
Now, as part of your pleas, did the state agree to cap the maximum sentence you could receive to be 20 years?
Yes.
Now, if you are to receive a 20-year sentence from the court, how old would you be approximately at the end of that sentence?
Say that again?
If you were to be sentenced to 20 years by the court, at the end of that sentence, approximately how old would you be?
I'll be close to 70.
And as part of your plea, did you have sentencing guidelines in your case
Yes.
that represent the lowest sentence the court should sentence you to, absent a legal reason to go below?
Yes.
And what were your guidelines in your case? Do you recall?
76 months to 20 years.
Now, even though cooperation provides a legal basis that allows the court to go below, does the court have to?
No.
Does the court have to follow any recommendation the state makes?
No.
And sitting here, do you have any idea what sentence you're going to get?
Nope.
Are you hoping for the best sentence you can get?
Yes.
Now, don't let that go over your heads, people. Okay, so he is essentially, like I said a minute ago, okay, the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office, they're playing this like a game of chess, okay? They're putting him into certain situations, certain crimes. They're ramping up these maximum sentences. They're saying you could get 30 years, 20 years, even a minimum. I believe the minimum that they just said, it would be a minimum of 76 months. That's still a hell of a lot of time. But the thing is, as we just heard, okay, the cooperation provides a legal basis that allows the court to go below that. But the court does not have to, all right? And what this means, okay, to me, what this means is that it's like, look, if you're going to get up on the stand, and a lot of people on Reddit are praying for this, if you get up on the stand and pull a YSL Woody and you throw the case and you're no use to us and you're an unreliable witness, you might still get hit with that 20 years. You could, even in a best case scenario, you might still get hit with the 76 months. But what they're saying, okay, depending on how this goes down, depending on how helpful this testimony is, and it's very damning for your own father to get on the stand, it could go even lower. It could be nothing. It could be time served. And it's these kind of legal chess moves that really back people into a corner and make them make these difficult decisions. Like when you're looking at a maximum of 30 years, a minimum of 76 months, and the only way to get that down, right? And you're talking about a guy that's already in his 50s. He's, you know what I mean? If he's facing that 20 years, he'd be 70 when he comes out. Realistically, I don't know how good health he's in. That could be a death sentence for somebody that age. So they're really twisting the screws on him, all right? And essentially they're going to have him saying a whole lot of crazy stuff, all right? So from here, they're going to ask him about the plan, the murder, and he's basically going to say that, look, he only found out about the murder when he went and picked up, okay, Scotty and Butter, right? He's basically going to say, look, I didn't know about the murder, I didn't plan the murder, I wasn't part of the murder, I just went to pick him up, that's the first that I heard of it.
Did the state of Florida at any time promise you that we would recommend any specific sentence?
No.
On January 15, 2020, prior to the murder of Charles McCormick, were you aware of what was going to happen to him that day?
No.
Did you participate in any of the planning of the murder of Charles McCormick?
No.
Were you present when Charles McCormick was murdered?
No.
Did you know that was going to happen before it happened?
Nope.
When did you find out Charles McCormick was going to be murdered? Or, excuse me, when did you find out Charles McCormick had been murdered?
After I picked up Scotty and Butter.
So that would be Leroy Whitaker and Dominique Barner?
Yes.
You indicated you picked them up. How did you know that they needed a ride on January 15, 2020?
My son called me and asked me to go give Scotty a ride.
Which son?
Kareem.
Abdul Jr.?
Yes.
Man, it's crazy. It's actually just crazy to see a father doing that. He's saying, my son called me and asked him to give him a ride. My son, Kareem Abdul Jr., called me to give them a ride after the murder. Straight up.
Do you recall what Abdul Jr.'s phone number was that he communicated with you on that day?
I think it's 904 36 94 84.
3684?
Yeah.
Do you recall what your phone number was back on January 15, 2020?
904 866.
Sitting here.
So what we're going to hear next, and this is really some of the craziest stuff, all right? This really is some of the craziest stuff of the whole thing. He's going to be asked why. And this is the question that's on all of our minds. This is the question that's on all of the fans' minds, all of the followers, all of the street dudes. Why would you do this? How could you possibly snitch on your own son? And he's going to give his reasoning. And look, I definitely wouldn't want to justify it. You know, I'm not taking sides. I'm not saying that it was good or it's bad. It's definitely a crazy situation. But I think it's actually just very valuable that he's even getting on the stand. And we're actually going to hear his reasoning. We're going to hear the honest reasoning as to why he has actually taken the stand and snitching on his own flesh and blood. And he's basically going to talk about his health, having young kids, wanting to be around for his younger kids, and essentially saying that he's been cut out of his family, how he wants to have a relationship with his younger children, and how this is an opportunity for him to send his older children up the river and to retain a relationship with his other children.
Now, sitting here today, you realize that you are testifying against not only co-defendants, but family members.
Yes.
Why are you doing that?
Well, I have a number of reasons.
And what are they?
I got some health issues. I got 2 6-year-olds and an 8-year-old daughter. And, when my 8-year-old daughter asked me when I'm going to come take her to the daddy-daughter dance.
Objection, hearsay relevance.
Overruled.
You can answer.
When she asked me over each year when I'm going to come take her there, and I keep letting her down. Then my 6-year-old son, when he asked me if I'm going to come to his football games, come take him fishing. My other 6-year-old, he asked me, when I'm going to come see him, when he begging me, please come see me, daddy. He want to teach me how to play the game, but he don't know where I'm at. Things like that.
I'm not going to lie to you. It's deep. It's actually deep. Like, think about what he's actually saying. I know the street cats in the comments, everybody that abides by the street rules, the no snitching, they're not trying to hear any justification. But on a human level, I don't have children, okay? Who knows? I might not have children. Maybe I'll have children. Who knows, right? Who knows what's going to happen? But hearing him say, it is actually heartfelt. Honestly, I do actually feel for him. He's saying, look, my 6-year-old son's asking me when I'm going to come see him, when am I going to take him on a fishing trip? He wants me to come to his football games. My daughter wants me to take her to the daddy-daughter dance. You got 3 children that are looking up to you. They want a father in their life. Maybe he's been a bad dad. Maybe he's been a bad role model for KSoo and his other children, One of his children died for proximity to the gang war. Another child's facing murder. It's treacherous. But really what he's trying to do is save himself as well as his other children. He's trying to save his other children's innocence. He's trying to find another chance and give them another chance at having a father. And who knows, maybe this is, to him deep down, maybe this is him actually saying, I'm going to take an opportunity. I'm going to have another chance with my remaining kids. Got 11 kids. With my 3 young kids that I've got now, I want to be there for them. I don't want them to face the same situations that KSoo and Willie faced. I can't justify it. I can't even imagine being in his shoes. But I got to say, it tugs at your heartstrings, man. I mean, say what you want about him, man. But if he's being genuine, who knows, right? He could just be simply trying to save himself. But there's a certain degree that I feel like I actually feel for him. You can crucify me in the comments. You can call me a snitch. You can call me a snitch lover, whatever you want to call me. But I actually feel him on this. He wants to be there for his other children that are young. He probably... This is a father who's lost a child, right? No parent should ever have to bury their child. Honestly, I've found myself so emotionally disturbed by so many of the cases that I've covered. The amount of mothers I've seen crying at the scene for, their young son who's been killed in Chicago. Even FBG Duck's mother, she's lost numerous children. And to see, there's nothing like that pain of seeing a mother or a father grieve their child. I've seen those screams that you hear of a mother at the scene when they lose their child. It's chilling, those things keep you up at night. They stick with you. And KSoo's father, he wants to have another chance. He wants to have another chance and try and do better with these other kids. And as treacherous as it is to stab your own son in the back, at the same time, is that showing loyalty to the other kids? I don't know. Let me know down in the comments.
My health issues.
What health issues do you have?
I have diabetic. I'm diabetic. I'm on high blood pressure. I suffer from congestive heart failure. I just found out June 25th that my kidneys is failing rapidly.
Has becoming a witness in this case negatively impacted your relationship with your entire family?
Well, I really don't have no more relationship with my family, besides one person.
So a part of your family completely cut you out?
Yeah.
When people know that you're cooperating, does that make it easier or harder for you when you're incarcerated?
Well, it make it harder for me.
What about when you get out?
Extremely harder.
Is cooperating in this case something that is easy for you to do?
No, this is the most hardest decision I've had to make in my life.
It's real talk, man. I mean, even the health issues. I mean, some people might say, she's just coming up with excuses to justify snitching on his son. But if you're talking about he's facing 20 to 30 years, potentially 70 when he gets out, potentially 80 when he gets out. He's facing health issues. This really is a death sentence. He really trying to spend a little bit of time with the remaining children that he's got. Now, as twisted as this situation is, part of me can't blame him. Honestly, it's so messed up. But this is a man on his last legs, on his last days. He's lost a child to the streets. He's lost a child. I mean, he's lost 2 children to the streets. You know, one's dead, one's looking at life in prison. And he wants to spend the time with his children, man. It's a hard pill to swallow. But I can see the dilemma this man's facing. And as he said, this is the hardest decision he's ever had to make in his life. I don't doubt that at all.
The day that Charles McCormick was murdered, on January 15, 2020, does that specific day hold any significance for you and your family?
Yes.
And why is that date significant in your mind?
It's the date that my son got killed.
Who was your son that got killed?
Willie Addison.
Is he your biological child?
No.
Do you still consider him to be your son?
Yes, I consider him to be my son.
Did Willie Addison have a nickname?
Yes.
What was that?
Little Willie, Boss Goon,
Who was Willie Addison's mother?
Angie London.
Same as Abdul Jr.?
Yeah.
What was the age difference between Willie and Abdul Jr.?
I think about 2 years.
So it's deep, man. So look, even just in general, right, that really just goes to show you the sentiment behind this murder, okay? The day they went to kill Lil Buck was the 1-year anniversary of Willie's murder. And that happened in front of KSoo and Blue. So we hear about this all the time, okay? The day, the year, whatever, the anniversary of a murder, this is a day that really riles people up. This is a day that people go out and slide. And I think this detail, like this really explains why, as we talked about in the last video, you know, when Butter took the stand, he was talking about, you know, KSoo went against the plan. KSoo jumped out of the car and went and shot Lil Buck in the face in front of everybody in a strip mall, in front of an off-duty cop. He didn't just stick to the plan. That's probably why. Probably because it was the 1-year anniversary. It was, this is now or never. It was, this day has a special significance. This has to go down on this day right now. I don't care. I don't care if I'm caught up in the middle of a strip mall with CCTV or with somebody recording on a dash cam. You know, off-duty police officer right there that's going to take chase. It was all about that day. The day that it was on the calendar, it was then. That was when he had to jump out the car. He didn't care about the consequences, and these are the consequences. I'm sure KSoo could have never imagined the consequences being this severe, seeing his own father on the stand like this. But that's what it was. That was the date. It was the 1-year anniversary of the murder, and that's when it had to go down. So from here, Blue is basically going to describe the relationship between him, his sons, Willie, KSoo, and how they were living together. And again, I think this is all just going to help to explain, you know, why this happened the way that it happened. Why, you know, KSoo and Willie were so close. He's going to talk about the circumstances where Willie lost his life, the situation that went down. As sad as it is, this is incredibly damning testimony for KSoo because it's really providing the perfect motive. I mean, Blue himself had the perfect motive to want to go and kill Lil Buck. Quite frankly, you know, I'm sure Blue himself had a motive to want the people that killed his other son, or even just the people that were part of that crew, or even the people that were making jokes about it, making fun of it, dissing about it. It's screwed up, but he's given the perfect alibi, and this is just going to be incredibly damning for KSoo.
Before Willie Addison was killed on January 15, 2019, where was he living?
He was living with me.
And what area of town was that?
Normandy, off Normandy.
Who else was living there at the time?
Hakeem, my daughter, and Abdul Jr.
Were Abdul Jr. and Hakeem Robinson close to Willie?
Yes.
How close would they be? Would you consider them?
They was pretty close.
Did they consider one another to, in fact, be brothers?
Yes.
Where was Willie Addison when he was actually shot on January 15, 2019?
He was in the truck with me in the passenger seat.
Were you driving?
Yes.
And so Willie was in the front passenger seat?
Yes.
Was anyone else in the vehicle?
It was like 4 more people in the vehicle.
Who were they?
Abdul Jr., Moody, my nephew, Samuel, and Pooh Red.
So bear in mind, right, this was a packed car, all right? Friends, family, they're all packed into the car when this shooting went down that killed Willie. And I believe Blue was hit himself too. It's not surprising that this situation led to retaliation, as messed up as it is.
Torgon Williams?
Yes.
Is Torgon Williams related?
Yes.
How so?
Cousin.
Now, did Torgon and Willie have a decent relationship?
I think it was okay.
Was Torgon Williams close to your son, Abdul Robinson Jr.?
Yes.
How was Torgon's relationship with Hakeem Robinson?
Well, they had a pretty good relationship.
Now, when Willie Addison was shot, was anyone else inside the vehicle hurt as well?
Everybody.
Including you?
Yes.
After everyone was shot, what did you do?
Well, I drove to the hospital, and as I was driving, I could hear Willie making this guggling noise, and I hold his hand while I was driving, because I didn't want him to feel like he died alone. And I drove to Memorial Hospital, and when we got to the hospital, I got everybody out the car while I was shot, and helped everybody get, inside the hospital, because it was like people at the hospital really didn't want to help us.
Where were you shot?
In the back.
Where in the vehicle was Abdul Jr. seated?
In the middle row.
Was he shot?
Yes.
Where was Abdul Jr. shot?
In the head.
Did he almost die?
Yes. I think he did die, but he, came back.
What about your nephew? You said Sammy? Is he hurt?
Yeah.
How was he hurt?
Well, he got shot about 7 times. He's paralyzed right now.
And Torgon was shot?
Yes.
I'll be honest with you. I didn't even know it was that bad. I didn't even know the shooting was that bad. I heard Blue got shot. Willie got killed. I didn't know someone got shot in the head and died and came back to life. I didn't know somebody got shot and got paralyzed. This is worse than I ever could have imagined. It leaves you lost for words, because it's like, I'm not from the streets. I'm not from these situations, but if there was ever a reason to slide, I mean, let alone somebody losing their life. Someone else got shot in the head and nearly basically died, and luckily, like by the grace of God, came back, and someone else got paralyzed, all in the same car, and the father got shot. I don't think I couldn't find you a better reason to slide.
Multiple times?
Yes.
How long did Abdul Jr., since he was shot in the head, how long did he remain in the hospital?
He stayed in the hospital about 3 or 4 months.
After Abdul Jr. got out of the hospital, was he still physically affected by his injuries?
Yes, he had to learn how to, basically learn how to do everything all over again.
Walk again?
Walk again, talk again, everything. We had to go to Brooks therapy.
Did you help Abdul Jr. as he recovered?
Yes, I did.
Was Abdul Jr. Affected mentally by the shooting?
Yes.
How so?
I think it made him more angry. Like, I don't know if bipolar like would be the right word to use, but it made him it changed his moods for him.
Now, Hakeem Robinson was not in the vehicle when the shooting happened, correct?
No.
How was he affected mentally by Abdul Jr. and his family members being hurt?
Objection, speculation, personal knowledge.
Yeah, unless he has personal knowledge, I'll sustain that objection.
Do you have personal knowledge as to how Hakeem Robinson was feeling after this happened?
Yeah.
Is that because he was living with you?
Yes.
How was Hakeem Robinson after this?
I mean, he was angry about it. I mean, we was all angry about it.
To the best of your knowledge, was Charles McCormick involved in the shooting of Willie Addison or anyone else in that vehicle, personally?
No.
Now, this is interesting, okay? So, what's really fascinating is that we've just had really the perfect motive for somebody to want to commit a murder. As I said, I don't think you could create more potent circumstances for somebody to want to go out and commit violence. But as he just stated, the victim, Charles McCormick, Lil Buck, he was not personally involved in the shooting of Willie Addison, but he was involved in the beef. He was involved in the back and forth because he made a song about it. And that just goes to show you kind of like the gray area of this whole thing. I mean, that's an attack that's so bad that I think any reasonable person would say they would feel justified in retaliating against the people that did it. But then when it comes to find out, the person that ended up getting killed wasn't part of that. They weren't actually part of it. They weren't actually the shooter. Maybe they were from over there. Maybe they were affiliated and they definitely made a song about it. But how much can you take that justification and transfer it to somebody else that made a diss song?
After Willie Addison was killed, did Charles McCormick put out a song that personally upset you and your family?
Yes.
And what's a diss song or a diss track?
Oh, it's when you talk about somebody, somebody's dead.
Is that what Charles McCormick's song did?
Yes.
And who did it reference that upset you and your family?
He talked about Willie.
How did you find out about that song?
Social media.
Did you personally find it, or did someone point it out to you?
No, my son showed it to me.
Which one?
Both of them.
And that would be
Kareem and Hakeem.
Abdul Jr. and Hakeem Robinson?
Yes.
Now, I just want to have a little recap, right? Because this was an interesting one. So this song, I didn't know about this song when I made my video about the war in Jacksonville. I don't know if this song ever came out publicly, whether this was something that circulated behind the scenes privately in Jacksonville. The way that the recordings are kind of presented in court, these look like, MP3s, files on phones that are being shared around, perhaps privately. I don't know, maybe the song was shared publicly and it wasn't on my radar. Maybe it wasn't popular enough to get onto my radar when I was recording that video, doing my research. But, this is the song that allegedly had those lyrics in it. And I did play it in my last breakdown, but let's just run it again so you can just get a little bit of context for exactly what it was that they were sliding over.
Hotter than a stove, circle small like a Cheerio. Homeboy died on his birthday, 23, ain't here no more. Caught that nigga at the light. Y'all caught when folk took in on Willie. Park out screaming.
So you just heard that, right? There's a diss talking about Willie.
When folk took in on Willie. Folk took in on Willie. Park out screaming out for help. Headshot instantly.
I mean, it's disrespectful. It's not necessarily an incredibly good song. It's not incredibly compelling diss. It's not Who I Smoke. But the pain that everybody was going through as a result of this shooting and how brutal it was and how many people got hurt, that was enough to say we're going to kill them too.
Did Abdul Jr. or Hakeem Robinson, either one, talk about the song?
I mean, yeah, they didn't like it.
Are you familiar with a local rap group known as ATK?
Yes.
Do you consider yourself to be a member of ATK?
No.
Is Abdul Robinson Jr. part of ATK?
Yeah.
What about Hakeem Robinson?
Yes.
Leroy Whitaker?
Yes.
Torgon Williams?
Yeah.
And is Dominique Barner affiliated with members of ATK?
Yeah.
Was Charles McCormick part of ATK?
No.
Who was Charles McCormick affiliated with?
6 Block.
All right, another local rap group here?
Yes.
Did Charles McCormick have a rap name or a nickname that you're aware of?
Yeah.
All right, and what was that?
A little buck.
How would you describe the relationship between the group 6 Block and the group ATK?
They didn't like each other.
That's the understatement of the century. Like the war between ATK and 6 Block, or if you want to call them KTA, who killed them all, which was sort of a grouping, sort of a gang group name for all of the guys that were sort of from Fulio's side that basically had this beef. It was a whole bunch of different cliques that clicked up under these umbrella groups, ATK and KTA, Ace's Top Killers, and killed them all. They didn't like each other is an understatement, but I thought that was interesting how they asked Blue if he was a member of ATK, and he said no, which is interesting, right? Because from this article a minute ago, Blue was alleged to be the leader of ATK. Now that I think goes back to what I was telling you about how much the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office was maneuvering and playing chess. They were trying to pin Blue as the leader of ATK, to the point where, who knows, maybe they could have actually found a compelling picture to paint him as the leader of ATK had he not chosen to cooperate. But he's not let it get to that point, and now he's on trial, pointing out his son as a member of ATK and saying he is absolutely not a member. It's very interesting.
Do they get along?
No.
Do they consider one another to be ops?
Yes.
Who do you know that had a desire to go after Charles McCormick based on that song?
I would say a few people.
All right. Anybody related to you or anyone else?
Yeah.
All right. Well, who would you think had the most?
The most? I would say Abdul, my son, both of them, Hakeem and Abdul.
In January of 2020, did Abdul Jr. Own his own vehicle?
No.
How did he get around?
Rent a car.
Do you recall if on January 15th of 2020, Abdul Jr. had a rental car?
Yes.
What kind did he have?
A Dodge Journey.
Did both Abdul Jr. and Hakeem Robinson travel in rental cars?
Yes.
So for the next few minutes, they basically go back and forth talking about, what kind of rental cars that the guys involved in the incident had. He kind of identifies the different phone numbers that different people had. I won't bore you with the details of actually just going through each phone number. But what ends up happening is he then brings things back around to the day of the murder. And this is basically where he discusses getting the phone call to go and pick up the shooters, basically.
Now, turning your attention back specifically to January 15, 2020, did you get asked for help that day?
Yes.
And how did you get asked for help?
Well, I was asked to give somebody a ride, give Scotty a ride.
And who asked you specifically?
Abdul Jr.
And how did he get in touch with you to ask you that?
He called me.
Did he call you one time or more than once, if you recall?
I think he called me more than once.
When you spoke to Abdul Jr., did he tell you why Leroy Whitaker needed a ride?
No.
Do you know what area of town or Leroy Whitaker was in that you needed to go pick him up?
Say that again?
How did you know where to go pick Leroy Whitaker up?
Abdul Jr., he sent me a pin drop, a location.
What area of town did that take you to?
Arlington.
Was it a business area, a residential neighborhood?
Residential area.
So he talks about going to collect them and getting the call to go and pick them up. Now, he makes an interesting statement in a second, and this comes up in a little bit later, kind of as a bit of an admonishment, really, in the cross-examination. But they essentially ask him if he saw any police in the area when he pulled up, and he kind of downplays the police presence at the scene. And this is something they're going to try and catch him up, trip him up about later on.
When you were driving on Townsend, did you see any police in the area?
Yes, I seen one police.
Where was that?
Say that again?
Where was that? Where did you see the police?
It was about a block or two from where I picked him up from.
Now, when you got to the correct location, what did you do?
Well, I pulled in the yard and called Scotty, asked him, where they was at.
Now, you said you pulled into the yard. What was at that location? Was that a home?
Yes, it was to the house.
Did you recognize that home?
No.
Did you have any idea who was living there?
No, I didn't.
Did Leroy Whitaker come out immediately?
No.
As you waited, did you reach out to anyone?
I reached out to Scotty, and I got a little impatient, and I just asked him where he at when he coming. He told me they was coming.
Did you reach out to anybody else?
Yes, I called my son, Abdul.
What was the purpose of contacting your son Abdul Jr.?
I just wanted to know where they was at. What was taking so long?
Do you recall if that was a phone call or a communication by a message? Do you have any idea? I know it was 5 years ago.
I can't quite remember.
Eventually, did Leroy Whitaker come out of the home?
Yes.
Was he by himself?
Nope.
Who was with him?
Butter.
And when Leroy Whitaker and Dominique Barner?
Yes.
When they both came out, how were they acting? How were they walking?
I mean, I would say a little urgent.
Do you recall what either one of them was wearing?
Yes, they had on some pajamas.
Do you remember any details about the pajamas?
Some Mountain Dew pajamas.
Did that look like clothes that you typically would see Leroy Whitaker or Dominique Barner in?
No.
So that's an interesting detail too, right? Because we heard a story that they'd ran up in somebody's house, taken a woman hostage, and tried to change clothes in the house. And there was even this famous clip of them, running through the yard. I'll pull that up. So this was that footage of them running through the yard. Now, I'm not actually sure off the top of my head whether this was before or after they had changed clothes. I don't know. I can't really see from this whether they were wearing Mountain Dew pajamas or whether these were the outfits they were wearing before. But this is that infamous footage that circulated of them running through the yard. So from here, Blue essentially goes to tell the story of what happened once they came out, them getting into the car, and the escape that he essentially helped facilitate.
Once they came out, did you let them into your car?
Say that again?
Did you let them both into your vehicle?
Yes.
After they got in, what direction did you drive towards?
Towards Arlington Expressway.
And were there still police in the area?
Well, I only seen that one.
Now, as you were driving away, did you ask them or were you concerned about anybody in particular?
Yes.
Who?
Hakeem.
And why were you concerned for Hakeem?
I know that's his circle of friends.
Was it unusual in your mind for him not to be with them at that point?
Yeah.
Now, as you were driving Leroy Whitaker and Dominique Barner away, did you find out what had happened to Charles McCormick?
Yes.
And you found out the details about who was involved?
Yes.
And did you continue to drive both Leroy Whitaker and Dominique Barner away?
Yes.
And after getting away from that neighborhood, did you make a stop?
Yes.
And where did you stop?
We stopped in Grand Park.
And what was the reason of stopping in that area?
Switch cars.
And were you able to do that?
Yes.
What car did you switch out of?
We got in a white Impala.
Who did the white Impala belong to?
It was my daughter's car, but it was in my name.
Why did you want to switch out of your Dodge Challenger?
I mean, after I found out what happened, we in an orange car, very noticeable.
So again, this just goes to show you, man, like the extent of this telling. He's given all the details. He's given absolutely everything. He's given the justification, the motives. He's telling that he switched cars. He's telling that, he thought their outfits were unusual. And as we're going to find out, it went even further than that.
Did you eventually make it back to your home?
Yes.
And again, that's on Brown Jersey Court?
Yes.
Do you recall around what time of day it was that you made it back to that location, approximately?
I mean, I can't say the exact time. It's like maybe, I can't say the exact time, maybe like 2:30 something up in there.
After you got back to your home, did you do anything else to assist either Leroy Whitaker or Dominique Barner?
Yes.
What did you do?
Well, I took the clothes they had on and left with them.
Where'd you go?
I went over there off Kings Road behind Burger King, put them in this fire barrel.
Did you set them on fire?
Yes.
And why were you doing that?
I mean, it was just my way to help.
There you go, man. Full-blown accomplice. He burned their clothes for them. He picked them up. He took them away. He found out about the murder. And he burned the clothes for them. You wouldn't admit this. If you were abiding by the street code, you wouldn't admit this. But at the end of the day, he's trying to save himself. And really, I'm not abiding by the whole no snitching code. But at the same time, you know what I'm saying? This is the older guy who's looking out for you. He's picked you up. He's scooped you up. He's burning your clothes for you. I think the last thing that these guys ever would have expected is that this man who burned the clothes that they used in the murder would take the stand. It's absolutely crazy. But from here, it's going to get worse. Identifying the cars and the clothes is one thing. But what we're going to hear in a minute is we're going to hear that he did identify the gun that KSoo used. And as we saw in the last video that I did on this situation, it was a gun that also appeared in a music video.
Are you also aware of a music video called Bang It Out?
Yes.
And whose music video was that?
Hakeem.
Do you know where that was filmed?
Yes.
Where?
Downtown by the Chop House.
Yeah. Were you there when it was filmed?
Yes.
Was it filmed prior to Charles McCormick's murder?
Yes.
Your Honor, may I publish some items that are already in evidence?
Okay.
So look, we're gonna see something crazy, right? He's gonna bring up the video, okay? He's gonna identify him in that video, but that's not all. The thing that he's gonna identify in a minute is actually one of the craziest things I've ever heard.
You see that? Should be the monitor, right?
Oh, yeah.
Did you see that vehicle?
Yes.
Is that your red Dodge Challenger that you were driving on January 15, 2020?
Yes.
Sir, in that video, the two firearms that Hakeem Robinson was holding, do you recognize those?
Yes.
Whose firearms who do they belong to?
KSoo.
Were they real firearms?
Yes.
Did he typically use fake guns in his music video like that?
No.
After the murder of Charles McCormick on January 15, 2020, did you ever see Hakeem with that black AR-style rifle pistol again?
No.
Are you aware?
So he's just saying, right, that gun that was in the music video, that was the same gun that the person that is being alleged to be KSoo was holding in the dash cam footage of the actual murder of Lil Buck. Blue is confirming that. But he is about to do the craziest thing ever. He is about to now identify his son in the video from the dash cam.
A dash cam video that recorded the murder of Charles McCormick in this case?
Yes.
Have you seen that video?
Yes.
And the person captured...
Objection, sidebar.
All right, let me see counsel in court order at sidebar.
So from what I understand, right, they want to ask him, like, was that KSoo in the dash cam footage where we can't see his face? We saw in the last video that they did a kind of like a 3D modeling of his body, trying to place him as the man that was in the video holding the gun, shooting at Lil Buck. Even with that information, even with that, futuristic 3D modeling of his body, I don't think a lot of people are saying that's super damning and this technology is making it impossible to get away with murders. I don't think that's anywhere near as damning as what we're about to see, because we're basically now going to see that they've got to find the right way to word this for it to fly in court. But basically what they're trying to get at is to say, do you know how your son moves? Do you know the kind of clothes that your son, like that video of the guy where we can't see his face and he's running with the gun that you know KSoo used in his music video? Do those movements look like KSoo? And he's going to tell it all.
January 15, 2020, Hakeem Robinson was living with you.
Yes.
And so you would see him on a daily basis?
Yes.
And as you have testified to, he's your biological son.
Yes.
And did you also see him after January 15, 2020?
Yes.
And when he was living with you in your home, did you become familiar with some of the clothing that he owned?
Yes.
See the types of clothing that he would wear?
Yes.
See him as he...
Okay, Phil, rephrase your questions.
Did you ever see him walking about the house?
Yes.
Did you see him in music videos?
Yes.
Are you familiar with the way he moves?
Yes.
Are you familiar with, or 5 years ago, were you familiar with the way his build was, his physical characteristics?
Yes.
And after January 15, 2020, you became aware of a video recording that captured the murder of Charles McCormick. Is that correct?
Yes.
And you've had an opportunity during the pendency of your case and the discovery to see that recording.
Yes.
Right. Okay. Did you, when you viewed that recording, recognize the person depicted in it?
Yes.
Who is the person that was captured on the video recording shooting Charles McCormick?
My son.
What's your son's name?
Hakeem.
Man, you can see the emotion for all of the information that he's given up to this point. There's not a moment where you've really seen him crack like this. You can see he didn't even want to say it. I'm going to run that back because you're going to really see the emotion, and you're going to see he doesn't even want to do this to his son, and you can tell that there's a moment of hesitation. He doesn't even want to do it. It's deep, man. It's actually so deep. Just look closely.
Video recording shooting Charles McCormick.
My son.
What's your son's name?
Hakeem.
This is the moment. For all the telling and getting on the stand and identifying cars and phone numbers and clothes, this is the moment that clearly broke his heart. This is the moment where the snitching happened. This is the moment where the nail is in the coffin for KSoo. And realistically, to me, this is the moment where it's over with. If your father's getting on the stand and saying that, and you see the emotion going through him as he's saying this, it's over with. It's over with. It's heartbreaking, really.
Video recording shooting Charles McCormick.
My son.
What's your son's name?
Hakeem.
You can see just his bottom lip quivering, he wants to cry. And for all of the reasoning that he's given why, he feels he's justified, he wants to have a relationship with his children, he's in a fight against time. He doesn't think he's going to make it to 70. He's losing all of that time with his kids. He's got health issues. But he still knows what he's doing is wrong. And you can see that it's breaking his heart. And you can see he's on the verge of tears. If you just look at his bottom lip and the way that it's moving, it's just... You can really see that pain, man. And it's tragic, man. I feel it.
After the murder of Charles McCormick, did you become aware of a post on Hakeem Robinson's Instagram account referencing something that happened?
Yes.
And was that posted from a nail salon?
Yes.
And after seeing that post, did you reach out to Hakeem Robinson, your son?
Yes.
So this is a reference to that post that we discussed in the last video. It's been discussed a lot. This is the post where KSoo was apparently in a nail salon getting a pedicure, and he said, "Kill a N-word and get my toes done." That's one of the wildest pieces of self-snitching that I've ever seen. I think this is the first time that we're actually hearing, because I've never seen that post. That post had been long deleted. I've never seen a reproduction of that post. I know that they can subpoena social media companies if it was on Instagram or Snapchat or wherever it was. I couldn't see it, but Blue saw it. And this is the first that we're hearing. Blue actually contacted his son and said, "You're moving crazy." And that, I didn't even know this. It's crazy information. The fact that he's up there admitting this. But at the end of the day, KSoo's got to take some responsibility. How are you going to the nail salon and posting killer N-word and get my toes done?
What did you want him to do?
I want him to remove the post.
Are you aware of any other posts Hakeem Robinson made to his social media around that time that concerns you?
Yes.
What was that?
It was it was another post of dude Lil Buck.
What did you see?
It was just the emojis on the bottom of it that said bye bye bye.
So this was a post that was retained, and this one did actually circulate. Okay, my bad. I actually thought that image of the heart emojis and the bye-bye, I swear I could have seen that before, but I actually couldn't find it. It wasn't in my video. I thought I'd seen that on Reddit or somewhere before, but I guess that wasn't public. Like, the same as the one of kill a dude and get my toes done. Like, that image had never circulated public, but the feds knew that it was available, and it's been mentioned extensively. But that's my bad. But regardless, both of those extremely incriminating posts were real. And, you know, we come to find out for the first time, Blue actually pressured his son and said, "You got to take that stuff down."
Say it again.
It was the emojis, the hand emoji saying bye bye.
States 227. That the nail salon post that you reached out to him about? And by him, I mean Hakeem Robinson.
Yes.
Showing us in evidence as...
Now, are they going to show us the photograph? They have the photograph in court. I don't know if we're going to see it, but I would like to see it.
I believe it's States 240, a composite. Do you recognize that poster?
Yes.
Who is that in the post?
Willie.
Billy Addison?
Yes.
And whose Instagram account is that?
Hakeem.
So, you know, they're showing the post. They're showing that he had posted Willie, and it's crazy. It's actually crazy. So, look, they go on to talk about a few more social media posts and, you know, essentially some phone numbers and talking about details of things that went back and forth that weren't too interesting. But as we come to a close from the prosecution's questioning, they just give Blue just another chance to kind of just keep it real about what he's going through and how hard this was for him to do. I got no doubt, whether right or wrong, this is not an easy thing to do. You can see that he was nearly breaking into tears on the stand. And as he's about to say, this is the hardest thing he says he's ever had to do in his life. I don't doubt it.
Now, though some people may not believe it, even though you sat here and testified here today, do you still love your family?
Objection, relevance.
Overruled.
Yes.
Is this easy for you to do?
No, it's the hardest thing I ever had to do in my life.
I don't have any further questions.
Okay. Cross-exam from Mr. Whitaker.
So we're now going to get to the cross-examination. We're going to have the defense, who are essentially, you know, going to try and, I don't want to say tarnish his character, but they're really going to try to get at why he would be doing this. And ultimately, I personally feel like it doesn't matter. I think that testimony is damning. I think the moment that he said that was KSoo, that he knows his mannerisms, he knows his clothes, he knows how he moves, and that is his son in the dash cam video where he was breaking up, wanting to break into tears. That was the moment it was over with. But we're going to see a cross-examination. You know, they're going to basically have their go at him and really just try and paint him as sort of being very selfish. And he doesn't seem to really rise to it, if I'm honest.
May I please support?
Yes.
You love your family, Mr. Robinson. That's what we just heard, right?
Yes.
I guess you love yourself. Right? That's enough, sir.
Of course. Self-love first, right?
Over your children.
That's the law of nature. Love yourself first.
It's interesting, right? Because it almost seems like he gets a little bit of extra confidence. He's definitely gotten over the hump of how difficult it was to really point the finger at his son. And I think now that they're trying to turn up the heat against him and to try and portray him as being selfish, I feel like he almost regains his confidence, and he almost, now that he's up against the opposition, realistically, he's brokenhearted having to snitch on his son. But at the end of the day, when he's getting questioned by the prosecution, he's on the prosecution side and he's trying to save himself. Now that it's the defense trying to catch him out, it's a bit more of an adversarial interview. I feel like he gets a little bit more prickly. He gets a little bit more, he's not so on the back foot, brokenhearted about his son. He's now on the defensive a little bit, and he's kind of butting up against them and getting a little bit more confidence. That's why I think it's interesting. I don't think the defense really played this the right way, if I'm honest. The way that they ask him, like, you love your family more than you love yourself. That doesn't really prove anything. You can definitely try and assassinate his character, but the damage is done. The most damning accusation, the pointing out, the full-blown telling, that was my son, I know how he moves, that was him on the video, is over with. So to me, the cross-examination is low-key a waste of time, and they're going to try and kind of put a few different points across, and I personally don't feel like they do a great job. They're trying to portray him as a bad father, and he may well be a bad father. I mean, arguably, it's very duplicitous, right? You can paint him as a bad father for, support in this situation. I mean, arguably, right, for better or for worse, is he a good father? He's burning the clothes. He's trying to cover up for his son. Then he's got a conscience. Then he's trying to look out for his other children. He wants to be around for his young children. He wants to go to the daddy-daughter dance. You could say he's a bad gang member and he's a snitch. Is he a bad father? It's a tough one, right? There's positives and negatives, but I don't know. I feel like y'all going to crucify me in the comments, but...
You're cooperating in this case, correct, sir?
Correct.
This is not your first cooperation, is it?
No.
You've somewhat made a career out of it, have you not?
I wouldn't say career.
Well, you first testified against an officer, Officer Eric Sinclair, back in...
Relevance.
Overruled.
I feel like the defense is sounding flustered. She's almost sounding... I feel like the defense are rattled because they know how damning that was. They know that moment that they pointed out KSoo, that Blue pointed out KSoo, it was over with. And I think you can even hear in the voice of the defense, they're clutching at straws. She sounded emotional. They're trying to do anything they can to bring this back around to their side, but I don't think they've got any moves to make.
Back in 1999, right?
Did I do what?
You testified against Officer Eric Sinclair back in 1999.
No, I didn't.
You came forward with information.
Yeah.
The officer evidently didn't take it to trial, correct?
Correct.
But your cooperation, your testifying to the federal government caused him to enter a plea, right?
I'm not going to agree with that.
Okay. Well, what you probably will agree with is that your sentence was dramatically reduced, right?
Yeah.
I mean, isn't it true that before you talked to the federal government, what you were facing back in 1999, you could have gotten up to life imprisonment, correct?
Yes.
And it was reduced to 10 years, right?
Nope.
See, the way she's talking, she's like, and you could, and it was reduced. It's like, so what? He's on the stand now. You trying to portray him as somebody that saying he's made a career out of snitching. He's saying he testified on an officer. This ain't really doing nothing.
Substantial reduction?
My time was reduced to 22 years.
How much did you serve?
About 10 years and 3 months, 4 months.
Okay. So from life to an ultimate actual serving sentence of about 10 years.
Yes, well, it was a law change, and that's how my time got reduced again.
Well, and your cooperation, sir.
Yeah.
Right? So pretty good.
And your cooperation, sir. I don't know. They're clutching at straws, I'd say.
Deal you made for yourself.
Yeah.
You've also worked as a confidential informant for police, haven't you?
Yeah.
And you're cooperating in this particular case because it will help you, right?
Right.
Okay. And you were arrested, I think you told us roughly September of 2020.
September 10th, 2020.
September 10th, it sounds like you remember the exact day.
Yes.
Right, sir?
She sounds so flustered. Like, to me, they know he's cooked.
I imagine that was an important day to you, correct?
I ain't gonna say important.
Well, it did cause you to be incarcerated, sir, right?
Right.
Where you've remained, correct?
Right.
And that was for your involvement in the McCormick homicide, right?
Yes.
When did they hit you with the Rothermel homicide?
2021.
Okay, so in 2020, you're facing an accessory after the fact charge for your involvement.
So the point she's trying to portray, right, is to say, okay, you were in 2020 put down as an accessory after the fact for helping everybody get away with the Lil Buck situation. And then they're saying in 2021, you became an accessory to this other situation where the innocent man got hit off his bike. That's what we talked about at the start of this video. And she's just trying to paint him as basically just doing anything he can to cooperate. But there's nothing she's going to be able to say that's going to downplay what he just said about KSoo. No tarnishing of his character he is so credible as the father of KSoo. There is nothing you're going to be able to say to discredit him and the position that he's in to point out KSoo.
Involvement in the death of Charles McCormick, right?
Right.
And when they brought you in, you've agreed to cooperate, right?
Right.
But that didn't happen until 2022, correct?
Right.
That would have been after they put the second homicide on it, right?
Right.
Now, in the Rothermel homicide, you're aware that Dominique Barner originally was going to testify against you, right?
Right.
And your involvement in what you pled guilty to as accessory after the fact in the Rothermel killing was that you admit you gave money to Dominique Barner after knowing he had just been involved in the shooting and needed to get out of town.
Yes.
And you're
Now, something really interesting here that I just want to get into, right? So, Dominique Barner, as you saw in the last video that I did this, maybe you didn't see, in the original video that I did about the Jacksonville's deadly gang war, where I kind of broke down the whole situation, at the time, we didn't know that Dominique Barner was going to snitch, okay? We didn't know that that was going to happen. And you might remember that in my original video about the war in Jacksonville, I had said that I thought a news reporter had gotten it wrong when he labeled them as the snitch, all right? Because apparently a wire had been worn where a conversation had been recorded and essentially it had implicated somebody else into the murder. Now, what we're about to find out that's really interesting is we're going to find out who the person is that wore the wire and that this wire ended up recording Barner, incriminating himself. And this is just my belief, right? But I personally believe that Barner wasn't snitching at that point when I made the video and I said he's not the snitch. But what it seems like is that he was caught on a wiretap admitting to something happening. And then most likely, once he'd been caught on the wiretap, he was finished. And at that point, he's being snitched on, he's being tapped into a conversation. At that point, he probably felt compelled to say, well, they got me on the wiretap, I'm being snitched on, I might as well join the winning team and turn state's witness as well. And I think there's a really interesting detail, and this is about to come up.
also mentioned somebody named Moody.
Yes.
Do you know Moody's full name?
I think it's Antonio McLaurin or something like that.
Antonio McLaurin.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Were you aware that Antonio McLaurin wore a wire on Mr. Barner?
Yes. Do we need to speak sidebar about that? Okay. Let me see court reporter and counsel at sidebar.
I heard objection. I just didn't hear anything after that.
Okay. You may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. And so I'm sorry, you told us another person that was in the car with you all when Willie Addison was killed and you all were shot was a person with the nickname, I'm sorry, give it to us one more time.
Moody.
Moody. And you believe Moody's full formal name is Antonio McLaurin?
Yes.
Okay. And my question to you was, were you aware that Antonio McLaurin wore a confidential wire on Dominique Barner?
Yes.
Jail. You were?
Yes.
Okay.
So that's an interesting piece of information. And look, I don't know for sure, but I feel like once it got to that point where it was being, found out that wires were being worn, people were being dragged in, it's one thing staying solid when you think everybody else is going to stay solid, but it's another thing trying to stay solid when you know you've just been recorded on a wiretapped conversation. Again, I don't abide by the street rules, but that's a whole different ballgame because you're cooked at that point, okay? Now, the next thing that comes up that I thought was pretty interesting, if I've got this right, is I'm pretty sure what they're trying to say is that Blue essentially was willing to be involved in an attempted murder, trying to kill somebody that I believe was involved in the shooting that ended up killing Willie, injuring all of these people, paralyzing somebody got hit in the head, Blue got hit. From what I understand, and from what I think is about to be said, and we'll listen to it together, but what I think they're saying is that essentially Blue was fully involved in the gang war at this point. And you can't blame him, right? As I said, a diss song where you're making fun of Willie is one thing, right? Did Lil Buck really deserve to get murdered for that? Arguably not, right? But from what I understand, Blue was actively trying to slide on the person that actually did that killing or somebody that was somehow involved in it. And that was the shooting that ended up killing the innocent bystander. And this is why Blue is so much more implicated in that situation. And, the defense is essentially going to try and bring this back and really just paint Blue as being a lot more involved in the gang war than he's letting on. At the end of the day, he definitely downplayed his role and said that he's not part of ATK and he's not part of what's going on. But what they're about to say is that actually he was willing to be involved and he essentially was trying to kill. He was part of the attempted murder of somebody named, I think that Pony is going to come up. And this ended up in the innocent man, Rothermel, being killed.
It's fair to say that you were vengeful after that shooting, is it not, sir?
Yes.
And that is, in fact, is why you were willing to be involved in what would become the attempted murder of someone named P Money, and that resulted in the Rotherham.
P Money, sorry.
Yes.
Because P Money, and do you happen to know his formal name?
No, I don't know his full name.
Okay. But you know who I'm talking about when I say P Money,
Yes,
correct?
yes.
He was a target for you, correct?
Yes.
Because you did believe he was responsible for not only killing your son, Willie Addison, but hurting everybody else, correct? Including yourself.
Yes.
You were not personally there during the actual shooting of what ended up being the death of Mr. Rothermel and the attempt on P Money, correct?
Correct.
But you have pled guilty to accessory after the fact for that death.
Yes.
And you have admitted to providing Barner with money in order to get out of town, correct?
Yes.
So again, it's just another interesting detail that's come out. I didn't actually know that shootout, I didn't know the exact reasons for it. I didn't know the exact story behind it, but now we're beginning to understand. They were trying to get the person that had shot up the car that killed Willie. I'd never heard of this. I hadn't heard about somebody called P Money. I didn't really know it had all been connected like that. It's making a lot more sense now, but again, I don't think this helps the defense. Yeah, they're going to try and discredit him, and from here, they essentially go down a route to essentially try and call him out as a bad father, essentially. And I just don't, that's really, there's not really anything they can say that can undo what he just put across against his own son.
Your family, those people that know you best in this world, are in this courtroom right now, right?
I don't think so.
You don't see family sitting there?
Nope.
You don't see Hakeem's mother sitting there?
Oh, yeah, I see her.
Now, of course, she knows you, right?
Yes, she know me.
A moment ago, you said that you are a 2-time convicted felon. And let's jump into the first time. In the year 2000, you were sent.
See, it's interesting, right? They're trying to put this sort of bad character on him and say, look, this is your community, this is your family. Don't you see your family over there? And he's saying, no, I don't see my family over there. That's not family to me. So from here, what they essentially go on to do is essentially, like, they're trying to just basically paint him as selfish, and they're basically trying to say, oh, the only reason that you're even snitching and that you're doing this and you're cooperating is essentially to get yourself out of a jam, to get your freedom back. And that may well be true. I don't think he denies that. And what they're going to say is that he may well end up only doing it's possible he might end up only doing 12 months because of his cooperation. This kind of attempt at character assassination to basically make it look like, oh, well, you're selfish. You're just looking out for yourself. You're just snitching to try and save yourself. Well, that's true. He said at the start, self-love. That's what it is to him. So again, I don't think this line of questioning is really going anywhere, but they just keep throwing this at him, and they just talk about all of the ways that he's tried to save himself over the years and all of the sentences that he's dodged by snitching, as if that somehow kind of undoes the facts that he laid out.
Sentenced to 262 months in federal court, correct?
Yes.
Hakeem was an infant at that time, right?
Yes.
You go away for roughly 10 years.
Right.
Now, you said a moment ago that you disagreed about cooperation. You got what's called, the government filed a 5K, right?
Yes.
And a 5K specifically is when somebody has provided substantial assistance in the investigation or prosecution of others. You agree with that?
Yes.
But you disagree that you got a reduction because of cooperation?
No, I don't think I disagree with that. She said testifying.
All right. You snitched on other people, you got a reduction, right?
Yeah.
All right. So years later, this case comes along. You get charged in the McCormick case. You get charged in the Rothermel case. And you initially plead not guilty, correct?
Right.
You fight the McCormick case for a period of time, right?
Right.
You have your attorney involved in depositions knowing the facts of the case, correct?
Yes.
And then your attorney comes to you and says, they're threatening to charge you as a principal.
Objection, Judge. And the grounds? Okay.
For him to waive, Your Honor, not the government to say. There was a point in time when these 2 murder cases are pending that you learned that the government is now trying to leverage you, threatening you with charging you as a principal in the Rothermel case, right?
Yes.
And that would have meant a life minimum mandatory for you, right?
Yes.
So, you agree, you cave, and astonishingly, for the second time, why is it that you only grow a conscience when you're looking at hefty prison terms?
Objection, argumentative. Sustained. Just ask a question, Mr. DeCoste, without commentary.
Previous case, you were looking at life, you cooperated.
See, that kind of says a lot about how they're trying to paint him, right? And really, it's really not running. And the way that the judge is even seeing it is, they're saying, look, this isn't really proving anything. This is just argumentative.
Astonishingly, for the second time, why is it that you only grow a conscience when you're looking at hefty prison terms?
Objection, argumentative. Sustained. Just ask a question, Mr. DeCoste, without commentary.
Previous case, you were looking at life, you cooperated to get out of it, right?
Yes.
Once again, you're looking at life, and you decide to cooperate to get out of it, right?
Right.
That doesn't change the facts. You know, just because he's facing life and he's cooperating to get out of it, that doesn't change the fact that he's genuine. This is genuine cooperation.
You're hoping that the recommendation is going to be that you serve for all of your crimes only 76 months, right?
I mean, yes.
That's what you have in writing with the government, right?
Yes.
And you've served a majority of that time already.
Right.
So that means that within a short couple of months, maybe 12, you're going to be back walking the streets of Jacksonville.
Yeah.
That was the price of your testimony. Right?
Right.
You had to cooperate and implicate your two sons, but it got you out of custody.
You say implicate them?
You had to point at your sons. Let's back up for a second. At the point in time that they leveraged you with life on the Rothermill case, they had already arrested your son and said that he was the one that committed it, right?
Oh, no, you're confusing me.
Okay. Let's break it down. You said a moment ago that the government sent a message to you that they were going to basically indict you on the Rothermill case and that you're potentially looking at life. You then decided to cooperate. You remember that, right?
Right.
Okay. They had already, on this case, through the evidence, through the depositions that your attorney was at, they already believed that Hakeem was a shooter, right?
Right.
All right. So it wasn't something that you came forward and like, hey guys, let me help you understand the case. You just agreed to their narrative.
No, I didn't agree to their narrative. They asked me what the conversation was when I picked them up.
Okay, let's move on here.
See, they're not getting anywhere with this. Let's move on here, right? Let's move on here. Because it doesn't change anything. Just because he's doing it to get out and save his own skin, that doesn't change the facts. And they're kind of being disingenuous when you say, well, they already knew, they already believed that it was KSoo that did this, and you just agreed to their narrative. Well, really, this is the most damning thing that I've seen on KSoo thus far. So it doesn't really prove anything. To me, it doesn't really prove anything. But moving on from this, they kind of talk around in circles around this for a little bit. But the thing that comes up in a minute that is very explosive is how he describes Butter. He describes Dominique Barner as a reliable hitman, which is again just very damning. But again, he's on the snitching team too. So it ain't. I mean, it's all snitching at the end of the day. But like, you got a snitch who's the shooter's father snitching on another snitch, calling him a reliable hitman. I mean, how crazy is that? It's like snitchception over here.
Yes.
Now, let's talk about Dominique Barner. Your words, he's a reliable hitman, right?
Yes.
For you to know that he's a reliable hitman, you must have used him as a hitman before, right?
No.
And how do you know he's a reliable hitman? Can't be the Rothermill case because they didn't kill P Money. So how is it that you know that he's a reliable hitman?
I mean, you hear things when you're in the streets.
And that's where you live. Not physically on the streets, but you are a street guy, right?
I have been one.
All right, and the marks of that are on you. You have bullet holes, right?
Yes.
You have tattoos, right?
Yes.
Keem has neither.
Right.
Not a single tattoo in his body, right?
Right.
Never been shot.
That's good.
Now, let's get back to Barner, your reliable hitman. In the Rothermill case, it's Blue, that's you, right?
Yes.
Now, you also go by OG too, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's Blue, Butter, right? Dominique Barner.
Yeah.
And Chris Brown, right?
Yes.
That's the trio. Blue, Butter, Brown. In the Rothermill case, right? Right?
Yeah.
Now, Chris Brown, his nickname is Crazy Chris.
Right.
It's not going well. Honestly, it's not going well. And so moving on from here, we end up getting to something that's really interesting where we actually hear reference to Young and Ace.
Correct.
Now, you also agree that drill rap, the type rap like the video, bang it out, that sells, right?
Yes.
And I asked you, and I think I asked you, and it was a couple years back, it sells a lot better than happy rap, like Will Smith rap.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Now, you had hopes prior to manage Ace, right?
Yes.
But he didn't take you along.
No, he already had a manager.
And then your son gets signed in 2019, right?
Right.
He's off in California shooting a music video in December, right?
I can't remember.
He didn't bring you along either.
That ain't true, man. That's not true.
Now, that's really interesting. I've never heard that before, but if you just listen to what the prosecutor said, do you listen to what the defense just said? They said that you had hopes of managing Young and Ace. Now, from that previous article where it tried to paint Blue as the leader of Ace's top killers, that's very interesting. It's the first I've ever heard that Blue even wanted to be involved in the music industry like that and that he wanted to manage Young and Ace. And even more interesting, him trying to paint this image that even had Blue laughing on the stand, right? Even had him give a little chuckle out on the stand where he said, oh, Ace didn't want you to manage him. And then even your son, he ran off. He didn't want you to manage him either. And that even causes Blue to laugh, right? He says, that's not true. That's not what it was like. But it's the first I'm hearing this, and it's crazy. And they're really trying to paint it as like, what, you were bitter because Ace and your son, and Ace and KSoo didn't want you to manage them, and so you're snitching on them now, and you're saying that he was the shooter. What, to get back at him for not wanting you to manage his music career? It's a very, very far-fetched angle, but at the end of the day, at this point, they're just clutching at straws.
To manage Ace, right?
Yes.
But he didn't take you along.
No, he already had a manager.
And then your son gets signed in 2019, right?
Right.
He's off in California shooting a music video in December, right?
I can't remember.
He didn't bring you along either.
That ain't true, man. That's not true.
He did not agree to let you manage his career. Or is your testimony that he did? He wanted you to manage it.
Of course.
Of course not. He didn't want you to manage it.
Of course, he did.
Yet you weren't with him on any of those trips, right?
I was with him on a lot of trips.
You have no credits on any of his songs?
No, I don't want no credits on his song.
And Johnny...
Like, what are they trying to say here? I mean, what? He didn't let you ghostwrite his songs, so you fabricated this entire involvement in this murder. I mean, it's such a reach, but this is all they've got to go on at this point.
Stripes is the one that is in the records as his manager, right?
I would assume.
So let's now talk.
So from here, yeah, what we end up getting to is just they kind of clutch at straws. They reach for a few more ways of just trying to make him look bad and assassinate his character. It doesn't really land, but, you know, there's a couple more interesting things that come up. For example, there's another part where he basically says that, you know, if he knew something was going on, if he knew that he was going to pick them up from a murder, he essentially wouldn't have done it. He's basically saying, look, he didn't know when he went to pick them up that he was picking them up from a murder. Whether or not you believe that's another story, but he's essentially going forward to say, look, I went to pick him up, found out about the murder afterwards, I got dragged into this whole thing, and eventually I turned snitch. So here we're going to see him mention something which I know we touched on earlier about him saying that when he went to pick them up, there was just one little, like, you just see one police car, he didn't realize it was a whole thing. And what the defense are going to try and say is that, no, we saw you, or not, you essentially broke through a police perimeter to go and pick up the suspects. And again, that is, you know, that definitely, if true, you could say that really shows a little bit more intent to be involved in the crime, but at the same time, that doesn't necessarily prove that he knew that they had committed a murder. And, you know, he has pretty good comebacks for this, I would say.
Correct.
You break through the police perimeter to pick up Leroy Whitaker and Barner, right?
Come on, man. You exaggerating, man. You know it wasn't no police perimeter, none of that. You exaggerating now.
I'm exaggerating that there wasn't drones and helicopters overhead?
How would I know that?
Because you were driving to the location?
And I would see a drone in there?
So we'll agree. All right, let's say the JSO. We'll let JSO answer the question whether they had a perimeter and they had hundreds of officers trying to find the shooter that was running through neighborhoods.
You really think I would have went through there if I seen all those police and all that? A drone and a helicopter and all that? You think I would have went up in there with my car registered in my name?
You don't want me to answer that question. So why don't you stick to answering my questions and not asking me them? It's a life you live, right? You live this life in the streets, right?
Nah.
Or wait, are you telling me that you, as the patriarch of the family, that basically these kids come by and say, hey, Blue, go do this?
They didn't call Leroy Whitaker daddy to go do it. They called me. What if they would call somebody? I would like to see how they would feel if they would call somebody else to go pick somebody up. They didn't. They called me. If I would have knew something was going on, I wouldn't have never went.
All right.
Think I'm going to go over there in my car with my phone and knowing something going on? I would like to been, if I would like to been involved in a crime, I'd like to know that I'm involved in a crime. Let me know that, okay, it's a crime happening now. Let me know something. I was in the blind.
So you're a victim in this case, right?
I ain't gonna say I'm a victim, but I would like to know that I'm being involved in something and just ask for a ride.
All right, so then after you know about it, you're then cool with going to burn clothes, right?
Yeah, after I get to know about it, I was cool with that.
Yeah, what's a little bit of a felony? You know, destruction of evidence.
Yeah, I did it. I like Scotty. I did.
Definitely know you didn't call 911.
Right.
That conscience.
See, I feel like this is why it's so damning, because it's like he's keeping it real. He's saying, look, after I knew it was a murder, I was cool with it. I was down. I like Scotty. I wanted to help him. And at the end of the day, he's admitted to being a part of this. He's admitted to being an accessory to this. So he's keeping it real. And again, I feel like the defense are really just hoping they trip him up and they're trying to paint him, well, you are the patriarch of the family. You sent everyone on this drill. You did this, that, and the other. And he's saying, no, look, they told me to come and pick them up. I'm finding out afterwards it's a murder. They've dragged me into this situation. And at the end of the day, at that point, I had to get with it. I had to get with the program. I had to burn the clothes and I had to go along with what was going on. That's what was going on. It's crazy. But he's keeping it very real. He's being very consistent.
All right, so then after you know about it, you're then cool with going to burn clothes, right?
Yeah, after I get to know about it, I was cool with that.
Yeah, what's a little bit of a felony? You know, destruction of evidence.
Yeah, I did it. I like Scotty. I did.
Definitely know you didn't call 911.
Right.
That conscience only grew later when you were looking at life.
Yeah.
All right, now let's talk about Darryl Watts. There's a bunch of cell phones that are in the name of Darryl Watts, right?
Correct.
And
So later on, we end up seeing Blue getting a little bit emotional once again, because what ends up happening is the defense basically pull up that footage of the shooting where he identified KSoo again. And I think what they realized is that he was getting emotional earlier when he had to talk about this. So I think they felt like they wanted to just like circle around to that and pull at his heartstrings again, and essentially try and basically say, look, can you identify this as somebody else? Are you sure this is KSoo? How could you know? Have you measured your son? They try and kind of like bring the questioning back around to that to sort of get to his emotions. And they basically just make him do the same thing again. They basically, you know, low key make him say in an effort to try and get him to slip up and to try and make it seem not credible, him identifying his own son on that dash cam footage where you can't see his face. But they basically get him to eventually do the same thing again. And he gets emotional once again, but he's still consistent. He sticks to his story and he still identifies it as his son.
Show you what's in evidence. It states 187. Is that on your screen?
Yeah.
Objection outside. Let's go across.
I don't have a question.
I'm going to ask about Chris Brown. Is that Chris Brown? That was shooting?
No.
What?
It's Hakeem.
And you indicate.
See, they're making him do it again. They're saying, well, could that have been someone else shooting? And he doesn't want to do it, but he has to do it again. He's consistent. He takes a deep breath. He says it's Hakeem. He says it's KSoo.
It's Hakeem.
And you indicated a few moments ago that Hakeem's approximately 6'2". Have you ever measured him, or are you just going off what you believe?
I never measured.
As he sits here today, does Hakeem Robinson look the same as he did 5 years ago?
No.
Overruled.
What's that?
Does he look different today, Hakeem Robinson, than he did 5 years ago? Has his build changed in any way?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, he look a little grown, like, you know.
So he was smaller 5 years ago?
Objection. Even to strike.
Okay, sustain. Just rephrase your question.
Sure. You said bigger today?
Yes.
Objection. Even to strike.
Okay. There's no evidence to strike, so I'm not striking. It's because the attorney's questions.
So Blue's basically saying he's saying he does look different. My son does look different from 5 years ago from when I last saw him or when I'm looking at this footage. But he's basically saying he's older, and then they're trying to kind of twist it around and say, well, what, he got taller? It's not really working.
Are not evidence. Anybody's attorney's questions are not evidence, but rephrase your question without leading.
Judge, sorry, Mr. Robinson, I didn't hear your answer. When I asked you, how does he look different today, what was your response?
Well, he like grown, gained a little weight.
Now, you were asked a lot of questions about the deal that Hakeem Robinson.
So they're going to now circle back to the whole thing of him, you know, signing a record deal and abandoning his father. And they're really just laboring the same sort of tired points as we get to the closing of this testimony. There's only a few minutes left. But again, they're just trying to throw everything they can at him. But realistically, it's over with. And it's all sewn up. And Blues stayed consistent the whole time.
Signed with Cinematic. You remember that?
Yes.
And some questions about him going to California to film a music video?
Yes.
But Hanging Out video was filmed right here in Jacksonville, right?
Yes.
You were there for that?
Yes.
Now, are you familiar with Robinson Management, LLC?
Who?
Robinson Management, LLC. Does that sound familiar to you?
No.
Were you involved with Hakeem Robinson's cinematic endeavors to be signed?
Yes.
And were you trying to assist him with that and manage him with that?
Yes.
Did you?
Yes.
Were you in fact in communication with people from Cinematic?
Yes.
And were you continuing to aid and assist Hakeem with that?
Yes.
May I approach the witness, Judge?
Yes.
Objection, Your Honor.
So they're going to show him, I believe they're going to show him a document, essentially. And it's basically an agreement to do with the music career. And essentially laboring this same point about him being cut out of the management contract.
When you a document, you can look at it yourself. So you can recognize it.
Yes. Yes.
How so?
I was his management.
And you signed that form?
Yes.
Did Hakeem Robinson sign it?
Yes.
That's all, Judge. Thank you.
All right, may this witness be excused.
Request for recross, Your Honor.
Okay, it's very limited to redirect.
So there's like some very last minute final questions here before this thing's wrapped up.
Mr. Robinson, you were shown that video, right?
Yes.
The government asked you who that was, right?
Yes.
If you said anybody other than Hakeem, you'd still be looking at life, right?
Yes.
Nothing further.
All right, may this witness be excused.
So that was a real just final effort to basically say, well, if you pointed out anybody other than KSoo, you would be looking at life. And then that's it. You know, they're trying to destroy his character. They're trying to say, well, you're only doing this to protect yourself. But that really don't play in the face of him just pointing out his son like that. So look, that's the thick of it. Okay, that's basically the whole testimony from start to finish. And I know it's a long video, you know what I'm saying? We're getting that watch time on this one. But before we close it out, I just want to jump to Reddit and just see a little bit of the reaction, because this has been going absolutely crazy. Not just in Duval County, even the Chiracology subreddit is just... No one can believe this. Anybody that's involved in the streets, drill, rap, gangster, all of this whole crazy world that we exist in, anyone that's involved in this community, from Chiracology, any city where there's gangbanging business going on in the music industry, everybody is going wild for this. Chiracology reposted it. They're saying KSoo Pop is on the stand. And if you see this, it essentially says when he looked over, everybody is basically just commenting on how crazy this is, saying when he looked over and identified KSoo, you could see the look of defeat on his face. People are saying dude is an absolute failure as his father, one dead and testifying against his own blood. So you make your alive son and his friends go get back for your dead son, then you go and tell on them after they get back for your dead son. That's why the street code ain't shit. I mean, it's very sad. I knew KSoo overly sick to his stomach. They're finna give him 30 consecutive life sentences, no possibility of parole. Telling on your own son is insane. Yeah, you're supposed to take the charge for him, if anything. It just goes to show in this life, you can only trust yourself, and that's facts. That is facts. They just can't believe it. They're saying he's already old as hell. He should have just shut his mouth. He's going to check either way. It's an SMH. Why did you even pick them up if you was going to tell on them in the long run? He knew how KSoo was living. The streets has been dead. There's never been rules to the streets. What the hell? The hardest decision you had to make in your life, that's not even a decision. He's been snitching since the 90s. That's just what he does. People saying the crazy part about it is KSoo was getting back for his son Willie, and he just sent a hit for his exact same son's revenge right before this, and he's telling on his son. What the hell? You do a crime with your son, I think he was there, could be wrong, and then you tell on your son. Waste of sperm, if you ask me. That's crazy. All right? People saying he's got the all-time Goofy Snitch Award for sure. Nobody is ever topping this. People saying this father is a pure failure, pure joke, miserable. And I hate to talk bad on a father like this, but damn. Why would you even do a hit with your dad? This stuff is weird as hell. People just can't believe it. It's crazy. And, the amount of comments is just crazy. There's other posts on Chiracology. People have just reposting it, just saying it's great. This stuff is crazy. People can't believe it. I've never seen anything like this. Okay, people are just outrageously. Like, people, I still can't believe it. I'm still speechless. People saying this idiot raised his son to be a thug just like him, and then what did he do? Go and snitch on him. People are saying, well, you can raise your children the right way, but they can still turn out like that. Bro, if my dad ever snitched on me, I wouldn't ever be able to trust anyone else ever again. This stuff is sick as hell. At least he'll have a good story when he gets to prison, while everyone else is telling sob stories about how their girlfriend sold them out or their best friend snitched on them. He can just say, if you think that's bad, my own daddy took the stand against me and pointed me out for a murder. Facts. There is no topping that. It's crazy. It is absolutely crazy. They're saying his pops is a straight bitch. Fake ass tears. He knew what he was doing. I disagree. Just like this comment. Nah, don't get it twisted. He's really crying, but not because he's throwing his son under the bus, but rather because he knows he's confessing to the whole world to see how much of a scumbag he is and how he will never come back from this. Those feels he is feeling are for his own narcissistic damn self. Right? Especially raising him the way that he did. Now he want to back out after his son is all in, what chump, lame excuse for a father. I made stupid decisions, but at least my pops didn't raise me or condone this stuff that I used to despise as a father. But for this showed me how a man is supposed to operate, and I'll always love my father for showing me what a true man is. It's just crazy. I mean, everyone's just in disbelief. If you don't have kids, you won't even really understand how much of a piece of scum you've got to be to snitch on your own kid. Not to mention snitching on your kid when you're literally involved in the exact same BS as he was. But then some people, and I do have sympathy for this angle, people saying, nah, this is him taking accountability for the monster that he created. Imagine if a parent of some white kid who did some domestic terrorism stuff testified against their son. Would you think they were a piece of scum then? I think that's actually very interesting. I think that's very interesting. But then people are arguing, they're saying, no, that analogy only works if the white kid's parents had been actively encouraging their kid to do this stuff and they themselves had done the same thing. You lived most of your life, you're supposed to take that charge. Here's the thing. Crocodile tears. That's what they're saying. Here's the thing. I actually buy what Blue was saying about basically wanting to be there for his other children. As twisted and as screwed up as it is, okay, as twisted as it is, he's trying to do right by his other children that are still out here. None of us are going to have to agree with this, but that's what it is. Another clip. This moment where he said self-love over his own kids. People said he is a narcissistic piece of scum. But then other people saying they're all narcissistic sociopaths. I mean, we're talking about people who are willing to commit murder and pay for it. This stuff isn't normal. Definitely. But the fact he's saying it on TV with a smile on his face, he don't give a S. And before this, he was trying to eat off his son's plate when he started to hit it big. Psst. It's crazy. It's crazy. I'm in disbelief just even reading the comments. It's actually crazy. That's crazy. It's then people, well, they should have thought about self-love when they told him to come and get him, and they ain't saying nothing about what happened until afterwards. So they get into the car with guns, he drives them around and willingly burns the clothes. Please stop it. This comment needs more attention, but it won't, because these dudes praise their favorite rappers over moral codes, reality, and logic. I don't wish jail on nobody, but grown folks are not finna take no charges due to their kids' stupidity, especially if they weren't in on the plot. But people are arguing, saying he raised them to be that stupid. That's why they called him. That man literally said on the stand he knew his sons wanted to kill the dude. He was in on the plot. People saying that's messed up. I wouldn't take the stand on my kid, but KSoo and his boys ain't really trying to help his pops. I'm still in disbelief. Like, I'm in shock to even see this. Like, it's actually insanity. It's actually insanity. Okay. And apparently other people are planning to take the stand. Another post was going around on the Duval County subreddit saying Blue failed as a father, uncle, cousin, brother, grandfather, and just as a man in general. Some real sick, trifling stuff to do. And this guy, he's got 27 downvotes. He's saying, nah, man, I would snitch on my own son as well. These people are always going to be wrong for murdering, but dude raised those kids like that knowingly, and then he's going to turn around and let them hang out to dry. It's messed up from every side. This culture puts a target on us even when 90% of us are just being regular citizens every day. I hate this stuff. Even the white lawyer called him a snitch. It's true, man. It's true, man. Even man. So there's throwback classic Reddit posts going around of back when Foolio was still alive, reacting to the snitching. Obviously, there was a famous lyric that Foolio had where he said, what was it? Blue snitching in that jam, telling on that man. KSoo been a fan, something like that.
So KSoo locked up on your brother.
Yeah.
And his pops telling on him.
Yeah. About another murder though. Some other.
That's crazy.
That's he broke, that's like one of the what is it, 48 laws of power? He broke that he telling on his son, his blood.
Yeah, that's too crazy. So,
it is crazy, man. It's crazy. Some people are saying they're in denial. So there are people that still think KSoo is going to beat this thing, and people are just dunking on him right now, okay? They're saying, you guys are really in denial of KSoo being guilty. His lawyer is good as hell, but this case is just hard as hell to beat, especially with all the DNA and snitching that's going on. This lawyer definitely could have beat Mookie and Slugger's gun case, though. He'd probably have a solid shot if he didn't have all those people testifying. Bro, they were on live, and 2 people ratted to the police in the interview room. The infamous tell the truth. Mookie was on live. They know everything. Mookie was dumb as hell for taking that to trial. I genuinely don't know how anybody watching this is thinking that he's going to beat the case. Some people think KSoo's lawyer actually did a good job with the questioning. Some people saying that they wouldn't convict KSoo if they were on a jury. They think his lawyer did a good job. They're pointing to this particular moment.
Request for recross, Your Honor.
Okay, but it's very limited to redirect.
If you said anybody other than Hakeem, you'd still be looking at life, right?
Yes.
Nothing further.
So that was just the very last thing, right, that we heard from that testimony, basically saying, well, you're only doing this to get out of life. But people are saying the lawyer's good. This was a great part. I wouldn't convict KSoo. I mean, that's cap. KSoo's gone. He's cooked. It's over with. It is over with, all right? It's just over with. Look, there's other Reddit posts that I could go through, but you get the gist. Look, this is one of the craziest things I've ever seen. I don't know if we're ever going to top this, unless we get someone's mother to snitch on them in the courtroom. It's crazy. It's one of the craziest things I've ever seen. It's looking really bad for KSoo. I think that's probably not just one of the craziest things, but one of the most damning pieces of testimony that I've ever seen. One of the most flagrant examples of snitching, and just the entire situation's sad all around. You know, I don't know how, but it's got to stop. You know, the violence has got to stop. As sad as it is, if something like this is a message to young guys in the streets, young guys that, you know, your whole family's involved in the gang, this is how it can go. It's not, you know what I mean? Maybe it isn't in your playbook that your father could snitch on you, that your father that's in the gang could actually be the one that takes you down. Your father that burned the clothes for the drillers that did the murder. The streets are finished. You know, the streets are finished. And I feel like this should just be a message, you know, stay away from the streets, stay away from crime. All of this stuff is a dead end. Sliding in your ops isn't going to get you anywhere. I've not taken losses in the streets. I can't pretend to understand what that's like. But as we can see, just from the facts, just from the way that these things play out, the streets is a myth. It doesn't end well. This is one of the worst examples that you could ever see. This is one of the worst ways that this thing could play out. But at the end of the day, this thing ain't glorious. This thing ain't honorable. All of that smoking on Bibby and bye-bye Lil Buck and killer N-word and get my toes done. Look where it got you, man. And even without Blue's testimony, it could have very well been the case that KSoo was just completely cooked from the start. So, yeah, it's a crazy story. It's very messed up. That's the latest. I'm going to keep you guys informed on any updates. Sorry this one was so long, but I feel like there was a lot to get through, and I wanted to just break absolutely everything down for you guys. And I wanted to, as I've said before, I wanted to kind of follow along and learn the facts and watch the testimony with you guys. And it's just very tragic. So, yeah, appreciate you guys for tuning in. Hope you found that an interesting and a useful breakdown. I'm still speechless, man. It's crazy. I've never seen anything like it. I'll keep you updated. Any new updates, I'll come through with the updates. I'll come through with the facts. I need to go lie down after that. That was absolutely crazy. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Appreciate it. Peace.